We engage in insightful discussions with local and international business leaders, economists, entrepreneurs, and other professionals. Join Love FM 105.1 and Love TV Live this and every Saturday from 2 to 3:30 p.m. for the program Business Talk. Gain valuable insights into the world of business as we profile successful Liberian entrepreneurs in and out of Liberia as they provide business strategies, entrepreneurship, and financial planning. Business Talk, your one-stop shop in the world of business. It's on Love FM 105.1 every Saturdays 2 to 3:30 p.m. Don't miss Business Talk in 1 hour 30 minutes. We provide listeners with up-to-date information and insights into various aspects of business and finance. We engage in insightful discussions with local and international business leaders, economists, entrepreneurs, and other professionals. Join Love FM 105.1 and Love TV Live this and every Saturday from 2 to 3:30 p.m. for the program Business Talk. Gain valuable insights into the world of business as we profile successful Liberian entrepreneurs in and out of Liberia as they provide business strategies, entrepreneurship, and financial planning. Business Talk, your one-stop shop in the world of business. It's on Love FM 105.1 every Saturdays 2 to 3:30 p.m. Don't miss out. It's always a pleasure being before the microphone and that of the camera to do what we are called to do. Doing it to the best of our ability is what we're up for, and we are grateful that God have afforded us the opportunity to do just what we are called to do. We have another 24 hours afforded us. It is on us, the good, the bad, the evil, and the ugly, to utilize our 24 hours. We on this side have chosen to educate people as it relates to business interaction, business strategies, proffering those ideas that are going to transform your business for the better. Because when a Liberian succeed, I have the mindset that all of us, one way or the other, have succeeded. So it's always good to be here. Mr. Alva Toba is in Liberia, and he's joining us. We shortly be getting on board Mr. Alkina Phillips, who's there in the U.S. We're going to form part of today's discussion. It's going to be very fruitful, rewarding as always. Today is something very important that you need to know. We're talking about the role of the private sector in Liberia's growth and development and prosperity. So that's what we're looking at today. Before much ado, the senior brother is here. So say, guy, cut your height, reduce your height, like our guys will always say. So let me reduce my height and usher in Mr. Alva Topa. Welcome to Liberia.
Thank you for having me. It's wonderful to be back home.
So I was the first.
How you doing? How are you doing? I gotta come to you, man. Visit.
Yeah, you need to come. You need to come during the week, at least to see what's happening here. So when you touch base, what was the first Liberian food you got?
So let me see. When did we land? Like 5:50. I didn't eat because I thought they had left my bags, right? Because I was checked in straight from Dallas to Liberia. My baggage was checked in. And for some reason, I thought I was getting my baggage in Ghana. And I was there waiting to try to get my bag for 2 hours until finally the guy looked at my baggage claim sticker and said, oh, this thing checked into Ralphie. So I expected to come on the same flight with me. Got there. It wasn't on the carousel, nothing like that. Eventually, the next day, the guy called me and said, I called him. He said, oh, we got your bags. So it must have went straight. They took it off there, put it in the office, and they didn't, keep it for me. So for a couple of days, I wasn't wearing any clothes. No, I'm just kidding. I had clothes in Liberia. So So, it's just fun to be back home though. The weather is nice except for the other night. It rained like cats and dogs. Crazy rain. It was good for me though because we were able to show all the holes are in the roof and where the husband.
As an introduction, so welcome to Liberia, Aval.
Welcome to Liberia. So the next day we had to do some repairs.
Today's a wonderful show. Yeah, I don't know why Mr. Philip is still not here yet, but I guess he will shortly be here with us. But it's a great show today because most of us Liberians we really don't know what it takes. How important the private sector is in our the growth of our economy and looking at development from a holistic point of view. But it's good that we're going to be talking about it, and you guys who are well schooled and have the knowledge will be providing the knowledge to the folks who be following us. So we want to urge all of them to call a friend, to tell a friend that indeed business talk is going to open our minds as always, but something that we need to know. Even the government needs to actually see reason because not everybody that in the government have the knowledge, but people who sit on the fence, they have they are strategists. They know what to put in, like a coach when the game is being played. He look at the leakages. He know what kind of player to put in at what time to turn the game around. And looking at Liberia, where we stand now, everybody complaining, oh, why the government is the government that. You guys who are the strategists, you have some basic knowledge you're going to be sharing today. Yeah.
Yeah, what you just said is critical, right? Yes, we're talking business, but we also have to be conscious of our country. When you mention the word leakages, there's a lot of leakages. Some are caused by inefficiency, in government, some caused by corruption in government, and some caused by us citizens who don't want to pay taxes, right? So I know the LRA, the Liberian Revenue Authority, is trying to do a lot because there's so many complications we have as a country. Some of the basic fundamentals are not in place. We don't have national identification across the country, right? So, for example, if I start a business today and I'm paying my taxes, I can go start a new business next week at the business registry. I don't need to prove something called clean hands. In developed country, it's a form that you submit to the tax people before you can go do any other activity, whether start a new business or do some other thing to say, look, you don't owe the government, you don't owe the municipal government, you are clear. So you get clean hands and you can start your business or you can do some other things that you want to do as an entrepreneur. But in Liberia, because people, so if I need Azeva Tukpa, I can go and start a business first as Azeva Tukpa Jr. Then in the business mess, I'm paying my tax, I go as Azeva Tukpa. Then I mess that one begin, I'm paying tax, I go as Iva Tukpa, right? Then I can go as IV Tukpa. Then I can go as Isaac V Tukpa. Then I can put Junior to all those other 6-7 names I just named. So basically, a lot of times us citizens are defrauding the government of taxes. And it's important that we as business people who want to be entrepreneurs, we are respect paying taxes, we to register our employees with Social Security and stuff. Yeah, it's difficult, but you got to consider all those expenses when you're starting a business, especially if you want to be in a formal economy where you recognize and potentially there could be benefits, right? For example, I'll give you an example in the US. When COVID came, there were a lot of Black businesses that were not like fully registered or not paying the taxes. So when it came to government giving money back to people, many of them could not qualify, even though there were huge sums of money out there, right? Because they did not meet the benchmarks in terms of filing the taxes regularly, and all of that kind of stuff. So I just hope we as citizens can start to think towards that, right? And government also should start thinking about how they automate, how we can really start full national identification where everybody is identified and accounted for, and you require that unique identification for people, because right now with the system even LRA has, people not uniquely identified. So different people are multiple times in the system with a lot of outstanding taxes, and they can't track them. We don't have an address system. We need to build an address system that you can tie people to in terms of location, in terms of housing, in terms of property, land ownership, all of those kinds of things. So I know we're talking about the topic today is how the private sector, can spur growth. That's one of the ways the private sector can actually spur growth in the community and help with development. Being responsible citizens as an entity, right? Or business or an individual to be able to meet up to your obligation to government. So it's very important that people be able to do that and make sure that government can get its revenue from them. So, but to hit on, yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
It's a very important point. Very important point.
Yeah. To hit on our real topic though, the private sector is like the engine. Wherever we make our country move forward, wherever we make it turn over, turn around, turn right, turn left, speed forward, is the private sector in our country. So we really need support from government, and we need more Liberians who have disposable income, who have savings to try to find the right area. We don't want anybody to waste their money or put their money in a black hole, right? But we want people to find opportunities to invest. And we keep pushing this whole diaspora and ground integration and collaboration where people, you don't have to come and start from scratch. Somebody here who's doing a small business or doing something in a line of work that you're doing. Take, for example, I'll give myself for example. In terms of, building homes, right? So the people who are already doing construction work. So I put myself in front as a project manager who can manage your house the right way, be accountable to you, be contractually obligated to you. But the people who are working are people who are on the ground, who are contractors or who are engineering firms, and they will help build your house. But I would push them, I will hold them accountable for you to a certain standard. So all of those things. So right now, so I have those kind of partnerships established. And there are other ways to build partnership as well. But people need to look for those different opportunities. Find somebody who's doing something you're doing, and then try to see if you can build relationship, communicate. It's not that difficult for us to connect. We are one people. We are the same people. So if we can just open our mindset to being able to engage other Liberians, it will make a huge impact because the private sector can create jobs. The private sector, I just talked about, get money for government through taxes. The private sector, because of the potential that there and your ability or desire as a business person to do things better or to find a new way or to find new partnership and new opportunity, you can bring innovation to the country. You can change the way. I mean, last night I heard an interesting concept about these small businesses and how we can formalize them in the economy. I don't want to share the present concept, but it's a wonderful concept and it can work. And it can also create jobs for those who will monitor those people who are supposed to be business people. But it takes technology, it takes innovation, it takes creativity for those things to happen. And it also bring about diversification of our economy. Our economy has been an extractive economy. That means we just focus on taking things out of here, raw material. Right now, gold is our biggest export. Oh, sorry, my screen will go in there. Gold is our biggest export, right? But there are other things we can target and say we want to focus on X, Y, Z to generate the level of revenue and income we need. And even domestically, there are other opportunities right in the country for government to get taxes, but government needs cooperation. Government also needs to put in the fundamentals, the identification, the address system, the to be able to build a cadastre where they know where all these houses are. I gave you an example. I don't know if I have a video, or I will ask my friend, my partner George Family for the link, just so we can show it, right? Where we did an area survey of an area on the highway. And I'm sure LRA is not monitoring this particular area. The number of 4-5-story buildings that are all over that place that could be taxed Some of them are commercial buildings, some of them are residential buildings, whatever. But just the, how should I say it, excess construction that's going on in the country that exceeds the rate of LRA being able to monitor them is tough. So we just hope that more people, in government can be creative so government is not losing, government can get what government deserves. At the same time, people in business can do what they need to do. So, we look forward to the kingdom coming on, but he's not coming on. We'll move the show forward. So, any thoughts on this first part before going to the actual? He says, that underline the whole private sector being able to be the engine of economic growth.
Yeah, I can guess what the time change. The time on that side changed, so he missed out on the time. But he shortly be joining us. He shortly be joining us. It just the time he said it changed on that side. So maybe an hour, yeah. So since the time changed, he felt
That's no excuse. Let me get out of water.
Okay, folks, if you just join us, this is the program Business Talk, where we share ideas for the common good of our beloved country, Mama Liberia, enlighten your minds on business strategies. Mr. Alvar Tubar is here. Shortly, we'll be joined by Mr. Alkino Phillips, the belated birthday man. Yeah, he shortly.
Oh, I didn't know it was his birthday.
Oh, yeah, the man celebrated, I think, the 13th, man. Yeah. Though he told us that he doesn't celebrate his birthday on the day. What he does is that cut everything, everything that would distract his attention, cut it off, and just read his Bible, give God the glory for another joining of life, another age being added to his age. But it's quite interesting. Mm-hmm.
No, I was just going to say, for me, every day that birthday right now, I'm just excited to be alive. Every day now, I'm enjoying it. So,
you struck a point. It's very important that we do this numbering stuff. LRA need to see reason in going beyond where they are now, because the world is evolving and you have technology running the world. Everything is all digitized. So as we move along other countries like the Ghana, you have baby Sierra Leone right here. All these countries, they have this stuff. How they call it? The what is the name? Oh God. Where they used to track the particular area. Why is it called
address system?
Yeah, not only the address system, but they got a name. Oh, that name will come to my mind. So that way you see even the guys who carry on this Uber business, they use that system to drive or navigate the way through those destinations.
What do you mean? What three words?
The GPS system. The GPS system.
Okay.
Yeah, the GPS system where they just navigate through, because you have a lot. Liberia is a unique place. And another thing here, even the public work ministry should be working alongside Mines Energy. You also be working alongside LRA. A lot of people building in the alley. A lot of it that's
a major thing.
Yeah. So to have access to areas, most especially in terms of fire outbreak and all those things, it becomes difficult.
Right.
Because you have someone building the alley. How do one access that area? Maybe in terms of emergency, someone is sick and you want to get them evacuated from that place in time. How do you go about that? Like I gave you an instance, the Gardnersville supermarket area is densely congested to the extent that to even drive away from the main road to where my father have his compound, you got to pass all the way around. Place that we used to have access to within a twinkling of an eye, just from the road straight into the compound. Oh man, you got to pass way around because people have built in the alley. And more to that, you found out that people even closing up the swamp, the swampland, dryness, the posing, all kind of thing. So we really need the
Yes, yes.
system. Yeah, really need the system.
Yeah, so we're actually talking here about multiple things. We're talking about national identification. We're talking about an address system. It could be virtual or it could be physical address system. And then we're talking about something called cadastral, where it's an identification of all property in a specific area. And for our case, we start off with Monrovia maybe, and then add the other urban areas and be able to identify any location, any building, get a map of all those areas and be able to, where yes, yeah, they talk about the echo, so you have to put me on mute when you're speaking and then let me off. Yeah. But let's welcome Akino to the show, the birthday boy. Happy belated birthday. We're happy to see you.
Hey guys,
Thank God for another year to your life. We just excited from day to day right now. I ain't waiting for no year to have birthday. I have birthday every day. So welcome to the show. You got anything to add before we really get into the meat of the private sector as the engine of growth?
I just want to say thank you to everyone. My apologies for being late. I completely forgot that the time changed. So the time changed from daylight to a daylight saving time change. So my my I was operating on 15. In fact, I was just about to go do my walking to come back at 8:30 to get ready. And then Rufus kept sending me the message, saying, "Man, where are you? Where are you?" I said, "Oh shit, the time the time changed." So my sincere apologies. No, but I'm happy to. I'm truly blessed to be alive amongst the living, to see one more year, to live one more year upon the earth. And I mean, God's been so good to me, so great to me, my family, my children, and all of you guys who are connections. So I'm just excited. And you're right, Ava. Don't wait for a year to celebrate your birthday, because each day is another year. Okay, so it's a great time to be alive, and I'm just thankful and enjoy being home, and take my mouth with you, and see things and share it on your page, and let everybody get an opportunity to see everything. No, let's go right into the meat of the show today. Liberia's the role of the private sector. The role of the private sector. Thank you so much. Happy birthday to myself. And I mean, it's just been a wonderful time, just been enjoying myself. So let's get into it. What do you want to start with, Rufus? You're the pilot. You're the pilot. We're the co-pilot and navigator. So you drive it. And you introduce the topic for the day so we can get right into it. My apologies for being late again. So let's get right into it. The role of the private sector.
Yeah, Alvin and I started up, and he brought so many points that we can also add on to what you have. He talked about the issue that has to do with the LRA connection in getting numbering system, getting the tax, the rightful taxes collected within time. He talked more about issues relating to revenue generation. That's also going to give access to people more. Like he said, there are some individuals who, when they miss out in some areas of business and that business collapse, they go and open another, do another registration. One individual got several other names. He using one name, like he made mention of himself. He talked about wherein he's Azivar Tupac Jr. He started a he did a registration initially, and that registration the business did not really materialize, it collapsed. So he go for another business using Avatupa instead of going back for government to do a complete check as to whether he has a name for it and a clean system or whatever it is. So when government start to do a check on all of these businesses or people who get into business where the revenue will be generated that will enable the government to play her own role in the country growth relative to the economy, that would be a very good thing. And what we want us to really focus, like we said today, we're gonna be looking at the role of um, the private sector in Liberia's growth and development and prosperity. Yes, we're gonna be looking at it very from all angles, whether by way of government involvement, who are those that are key players within making this work. So those are our areas, thematic areas that we hope to touch before we conclude today's edition. So, Mr. Phillips, you are muted.
So the point you just brought up, right? So let's go right into it, as I said earlier. What is the role of the private sector in a country, in a developing country like Liberia? What role is the private sector going to play? What role is the private sector supposed to play? What role is the private sector required to play? What role can the private sector play? The private sector, what I did yesterday was when I sent this message over to you, I'm just going to read this, okay? So I think this should be something that will kind of give all of us some idea. That, when you go to Google and you look up the word private sector. Private sector on Google is defined as, it says that the private sector is the part of an economy that is not controlled by the government, and it is made up of businesses that aim to make a profit. So write that down. The private sector is that part of the economy that is not controlled, key words there, that is not controlled by the government, and it is made up of businesses that aim to make a profit. It includes a wide range of businesses, from small startups, again, in the case of Liberia, petty traders, petty businesses, small businesses, to tech giants and finance companies. Then it goes on to say that the private sector plays a significant role in the economy, contributing to job creation, investment, and disaster risk reduction. It also tends to make up a larger portion of the economy in capitalist-based societies with free markets. So there you have the full definition of the private sector. But what is important in this private sector? So at the point Alva talked about the LRA and the tax issue, the tax identification issue, the duplication, I don't want to use the bad word of the fraudulent, but I mean, business people will have to find, even like in the US, it happens here. Alva, you can attest to it. That's why people create corporations. So that, you can sue the corporation, but you don't sue the individual, because the corporation is an individual. Am I correct, Alva? So you have, the guy runs this company, the company goes bankrupt. You can sue the company that went bankrupt, but then the guy goes around again and creates a whole different company. And then he continues with a different thing. So, but the point Alva was making that I got from his point is the role that technology and small business, right, innovation. Because one of the things that we find in our economy, in the Liberian economy, is that we don't understand the role of small businesses, right? Small business, innovative businesses, subcontracting, what we call third party or private sector companies. So let me just explain that. So, for example, the point that Alva brought up, I'm sure there is a small company, small business entity in Liberia, technology base, that can solve that problem for the LRA. They can probably bring integration. They can probably bring data data management, and all of those type of things to fulfill that service need for the LRA. Correct me if I'm wrong, Ava. Okay, so it is important, right? In the case of Liberia, especially developing countries, you've got to understand the role that small business play. Small businesses can help big businesses, especially the government, okay, to become more effective, more productive, more efficient, and more responsive to the needs of its citizens, especially when you exploit or you take advantage of what other small Liberian businesses can offer in terms of services, technology services. And then what you do is you as we would call it in the US, Ava, you know that word, we will farm that out, right? We'll cut it out of the main business and give it to a small business as a contract for them to provide those services, because they're more efficient, they're more lean, they can have smaller people, they can adapt technologies. And all you do is you create a what? You create a bridge or a technology interface into the main system of the government operation. Am I correct, Rava? Correct me if I'm wrong. So that's the role of small business or the private sector. Because again, if you look at that definition, the private sector is made up of people who are energized, they are creative, they are innovative, and they're bringing those innovations, they're bringing those creativity, they're bringing those great ideas to life, and they're looking for opportunities as to where to plug those new ideas into the main economy. Okay, you take the case of money remittance. Take the case of money remittance. Sendwave, MoneyGram, they're not government entities. They're private sector companies.
You see, I can't let you say Sendwave and MoneyGram and not say Kana Cash. So
okay, so send very good point. So okay, fine, very good. So let's take the case of Kana Cash. Very good point, Alva. You're very right. Okay, so let's take the case of Kana Cash, right? Kana Cash, the birth of it, and again, why many people, why we in Liberia don't understand, and this is where that's why this show is so important. We don't understand that when 2 or 3 people, it's just like this show. This show is birth. It is a child. It is an offspring of Ava, Rufus, Divine, Connor, and myself. So you get together, you explore ideas, you bring some, I bring some, the other person brings them, we bring them together, and out of that combination, out of that coming together, births something. And that is the same thing Kana Cash is. It's a group of guys, okay, a group of people coming together, men and women, coming together and saying, look, why can't we play a role in the fintech industry in our country, Liberia? Look at how much money is coming in. Why can't we play a role? Why must we surrender such a major part of our economy to foreign or to expat companies? Why can't we, Liberians, we're in the sector, we understand the role, we know the technology. Why can't we apply this and birth something and introduce this something into our economy so that we can get a piece of the pie, 1%, 2%. Ava, a couple of weeks ago, brought up the whole number. Somebody else put it on Facebook the other day. Money remittance into Liberia, write this down, everybody, is $800 million. $800 million, which is almost equal to a little bit greater than the national budget. Correct me if I'm wrong, Abba. Okay, it's $800 million.
At this point, it's greater, right?
Yeah, exactly.
What we're generating.
Yes, it is greater than the whole Liberian national government budget. Money remittance coming into Liberia every year, 12 months, 365 days, $800 million. So ask yourself, why can't Kana Cash get 1%? So how about you do the math on your side? Just 1%. 1% of $800 million comes out to what? That's 800 million times 0.0.01.
$8 million. $8 million.
That's $8 million. That's $8 million. So for a small company like Kana Cash to capture out of that $800 million, 1%, that's $8 million for a small Liberian, birthed company that can, and just imagine what that $8 million can do in terms of job creation, stimulating economic growth. I mean, and bringing about what transformation in the lives of all of those agents and those who are participating in this process. And that's what the private sector is. The private sector is an engine of growth for any developing country. And that's why we have to connect ourselves. We need to open up our minds to understand the role the private sector has to play and must play and can play in developing, transforming, moving this country forward, attracting foreign investment, and so that we Liberians can truly be at a strategic place in the ECOWAS sub-region. Over to you, Abba. What do you have to contribute? The role of the private sector for Liberia's industrialization.
And that's very important. You guys will see the transition, right? He was about to talk about Sendwave and MoneyGram, which are international companies. But when I brought the point to him, he segued into, a Liberian company, which is very important that we as Liberians have to start to support our own people, our own businesses. It's just part of the nature. Wherever we look around us in our own country, Nigerians will support Nigerians. Lebanese will support Lebanese. Indians will support Indians. Chinese will support Chinese. That's the first order of business. So we as Liberians now have to think holistically. Forget about tribe, forget about ethnicity, forget about the region you're from or the village you're from. But let's Liberianize. Let's focus on how we as Liberians can do business and support each other from a business standpoint or from a partnership standpoint or an investment standpoint. We have to build that level of confidence in each other. I don't say trust anybody because trust is blind, but let's try to build the level of confidence where we feel comfortable in dealing with each other, doing business with each other, working together as Liberians. If we can do that, it takes a big step forward, right? A lot of Liberians, let's say, for example, this Liberian guy, he has something like enterprise communications. He wants every Liberian business and every Liberian individual to register. But Liberians are hesitant to go there. He's trying to build an ecosystem where we as Liberian professionals, we as Liberian businesses, we can have one environment where we can advertise in it, we can talk together, we can work together. Unfortunately, Liberians have not gravitated to it. But yet and still we complain that the people in authority, they don't know people. They don't know because the data is not there. But if we are willing to give our information to a lot of these useless websites, willing to give it to Facebook, willing to give it to what they call the people name, LinkedIn, and any other new, big site that comes out there. But we are now willing to share that information with professional Liberians who can leverage that information with government, with other institutions, and whatever. JJ, you don't have to trust. Trust is blind. I don't trust anybody. People, my friend used to get vegetable, I say I don't trust people. But I got a degree of confidence that certain people, the way I know you, that you do certain things, and 9 times out of 10, probably 9.9 out of 10, that would manifest in terms of that confidence I have in people. So yes, people want to get over, but if you build in corrective systems to protect what you guys have at stake, sometimes it's difficult because you got to have something called triggers that will let you know when people are trying to mess with your money or other stuff. Sometimes you can't stop it, people will steal all right. Or people will just say, I don't care, the man know I steal money, I'm taking it, I'm gone. Just somebody stealing your car, somebody you know, or driver that work with you, stealing your car. It's happened to me. So yes, it can happen that way. But in general, people will find means, and if you can create the inhibitors, or the detectors, then you'll be able to protect your asset. But what I'm talking about is trying to gradually see how we as Liberians can work together. Forget about trust. Let's say we can build relationships. Let's say we can do business together. And sometimes, like my close friends can get upset with me. Why you gotta be bringing other people? Because we need to expand that circle of entrepreneurial Liberians or Liberians who have shared mindset and want to do business, want to, do positive stuff in this country and help this country move forward. If we are continuous in our effort and consistent, and people can see positive examples of those, partnerships, those collaborations, more people will start to gravitate there. So, what I can understand is right. There are many opportunities in the fintech space for other Liberian businesses. the needs of government are huge, but we need leadership in government to recognize that many of these solutions are not new. Many Liberians have been through the grind, through the effort, through the technical development, building technology systems and stuff that they can help us work more effectively, more efficiently. Many places today, you got to go fill in form, physical form, every day, write the same thing. But if somebody build an e-doc system where all the different kinds of forms are there, whether you want to go to the Ministry of Transport, use the form. You want to go to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs to apply for a passport, use the form, or whatever system they got maybe. But there's a lot of places that may not have a website, that may not have an automatic workflow process, that Liberians have already developed the application for some of these things, you know. So you just need to be able to look out among us and see who are doing some of these positive things that you as a government leader can work with. It's not that somebody wants your job or anything like that. It's just about somebody wanting to do your job better. And that's how they can help you. That's how they can support you technology-wise. So like the leakages at LRA, definitely. And I believe we have a visionary LRA leader, and he will get out there to Liberian lives and to do more things instead of securing revenue, expanding the resource base, you know, through, you know, more better domestic revenue and mobilization, resource mobilization. So all these things are possible, and we just look forward for them to create that field where Liberians can get into business. I mean, be a business, be a part of it. We have to have local content in everything. Local content meaning Liberian participation, whether sometimes it could be, you know, free carry, where is our natural resources. They want us to have some free interest that we're not paying for as Liberians in there, or whether it's just facilitating the opportunities for Liberians to be able to expand their participation in the private sector, because that's where we will create jobs. That's the engine of growth. And if we can start to let Liberians be job creators for Liberians, well, we can start to find more opportunities for youth employment. And I'm excited about this thing I say somebody shared in terms of opportunity for youth to be monitors for businesses across the country to ensure that they are registered. If they're not registered, they are banned from doing business until they register as a business, and, you know, do some, and LRA can probably do some automation in terms of how people pay taxes or how people purchase from people. We need more money activity that can be monitored. We don't need hard currency in everything we do. So there's a lot of things that can go on. And then decentralizing. Everything does not have to be centered in Monrovia or the urban centers like Saniquale, you know, Banga, Ganta, Buchanan, you know, or maybe Harper. You know, most of the other capitals, we need to build them, or most of the other cities that have some prospect, we need to build them, or we need to decentralize opportunities that not everybody are coming, all the people are not coming into Monrovia or into Ganta or something. There can be some dispersion of people, private businesses can crop up, jobs can be created outside the urban centers. And that will be, you know, where we need to go, reduce that rural to urban migration, that people will still be embracing agriculture and other activities in the rural areas, and we can be able to prosper. To you,
Very good. Okay, so you brought up a very interesting point, Ava. You talked about, you know, from the government ministry point of view, right? So I think one of the challenges, right, or one of the impediments is that I think most of the leadership in different government ministries, okay, or different sectors of government, I don't believe that they work on as I would call it, a key performance index or deliverables. There's no plan, there's no strategy. Because if you have a plan, and if you lay out a set of strategies, right, to achieve each of those plans, and you set your key performance indexes, right, for each of those points, okay, then what, and you are focused on what? Becoming more efficient, becoming more productive, becoming more profitable by cutting costs and cutting waste. Then what will happen is that leadership will clearly come to the understanding of the role of private sector entities that can help them to meet their KPIs, help them to meet their strategy. They would bring the private sector in as a key instrument as part of their strategy to achieve their plans. You get what I'm saying? So let's just take, for example, if you're at the airport, you're managing director for the airport, and you have, or let's just say for the sake of argument, you have a $1 million a month budget, okay? And you got to be profitable. You want to reduce waste. You want to eliminate waste, duplication, inefficiencies. You want to streamline the system. So what are you going to do? You're going to try to figure out, it's okay, what you're going to break out your workflow. You're a PM, you're a project management man. You're going to break out your workflow, look at the processes from the landing of the plane all the way to getting the passengers off, prepare the plane for takeoff, and everything else from the electrical system all the way to everything. You will break out the different segments and you will say, okay, how many people do we have working on this? Why can't we move to the private sector? How can we get small Liberian companies in here where we don't have to put these people on our payroll, but they can do it more efficiently and we can hold them accountable? Because, and then what happens is your operating budget goes all the way down. You become more profitable because you move more people off your payroll and you brought more Liberian companies in to carry out, to execute, to get that work done. And you've met your KPIs, you've achieved your plan, and you implemented a strategy that's efficient and effective to still make the airport profitable, more efficient. You can get people in, you can get people out, the luggage system and everything. I think that is where, even in the US, you look in the developed world, a lot of companies are always finding ways to come. The company understand that we cannot be everything to everybody. We cannot be everything to everybody. We've got to find, define our core business. Write that down. You got to, if you are a restaurant, if you're a private restaurant in Liberia, right? Whether you're in Banga, Ganta, Kakata, Monrovia, wherever you are, you're a restaurant. You've got to figure out and say, okay, I want to be profitable in this business. You can't hire people to go out to go and bring firewood for if you're using firewood. You need to find some kind of a guy whose business it is to get firewood and say, my friend, look, I want you to have my firewood here every 7 o'clock every morning. So that way, that the accountability and the responsibility is on that guy. At least get 2 persons. So at least when one person doesn't meet it, the next person will. So you don't have to do that yourself, but you can farm it out to a person that you can pay and move that cost over to the cost of the food. But it's efficient. So every part of your process, and I think that's where, the private sector plays a very, very important business, a very, very important role in making sure that, private sector working with government can make government more efficient. Private sector working with government can make government more profitable. It can reduce waste. Private sector working with government can take more people off the government payroll and bring them to the private sector. Because the long-term objective, correct me if I'm wrong, Ava, the long-term objective is to reduce the size of government and increase the size of the private sector. Correct me if I'm wrong.
That should be the idea. That should be the objective. For example, a perfect case will be what we have now in government, right? With all the payroll padding of employees and padding of, payments, that need to be focused on government. How we can create private sector jobs for many of these people who are, just hanging on government payroll, probably don't have any term of reference in terms of a job or anything specific to do. And it takes creativity. It takes them, doing a necessary business development effort in collaboration with the private sector. It takes work. It takes work. If government must work, the people in government have to work for government to be efficient and work for the people. So that's not even an issue that needs to happen, right? And then we can switch now from just job creation and trying to create employment opportunities to what it means for us to have economic growth in the country, right? If we have economic growth with development now, because a lot of times, sometimes economic growth can happen. Let's say we're just to find a new, bunch of diamonds that we're exporting, but we're not making an impact on the lives of our people like we haven't been doing over the years, that diamond will increase our GDP, it will increase our economic growth, but the life of our people will not be different. Okay, the development that we need to do in terms of roads, in terms of electricity, in terms of healthcare, in terms of education, all those basic fundamental things, those social and important services that governments will provide will not be there. So that's why it's important that economic growth and development are significant in this whole process that we're talking about in all the different areas. Agriculture, yes, this government has been focusing on agriculture. We really appreciate that. Hopefully, they can continue. Yesterday, I was be part of a group at this Senate representative to look at the cassava sector. There's huge opportunities in the cassava sector. Starch manufacture is supposed to be coming to Liberia. And if our cassava can be used to create that starch, that's a major boost for the cassava farmers, right? It's just hopeful that they will be paid commensurate with what they're producing, that they're not being shortchanged, especially since the stuff is being manufactured in Liberia. So the growth opportunities and the value addition and diversification that can exist if we have a dynamic private sector is wonderful. For example, the farmers, they can look at and start really looking outside to see who want our pawpaw, who want our butter pear, some of the stuff that hot out there. How can we collaborate among cooperatives and aggregate? Because aggregation is a major factor. It involves storage, it involves transportation. So getting those products from these farmers and being able to aggregate them and add value to them before they are shipped is a huge possibility. But many of those who want to get in that space, they need a little bit of help. They need a little bit of help, whether it is being able to get the right vehicles for transportation, whether it is to be able to build the little value addition factory. They need renewable energy. We know we don't have energy all over the country. They need energy. They need one or two little manufacturing machines. Okay, that can push the private sector. That can ensure some level of sustainable growth for us. And we have to start looking at things like that. Then automatically, when you get that, the local market and international market start to expand. Like we have been seeing right now in Africa, they got the CAFTA, right? Continental Africa Free Trade Area. That's the whole continent. We can trade anywhere.
The trade, yeah.
Yes, we can trade anywhere for free. And we got stuff that people need. We just have to put it in turn it into a product that they can use right away. Okay, there are a lot of people in Africa all over that's right. We ourselves will need food security in Liberia because we stay in economic growth. If we set targets, like he said, do some key performance indicators, whether for government officials or government agencies or government departments, all of them need to perform at a certain level. And that should happen now that they're building the budget or they have already submitted it. They should see all the people who have roles in getting to budget and in implementation and be able to set those key performance indicators for all of them and be able to measure it at some point. It will help.
That's exactly right.
Analysis of what government is doing. Shout out to the NEMO folks for what they're doing and the kind of reporting they're doing. Yeah, so you can add on to that whole economic growth.
And the point you're making there, Ava, the point you're making there is very important, right? So I think one of the challenges our leaders, let me just use the general term, our leaders, one of the biggest problems, the biggest challenges our leaders have is I think they've lacked the ability to look at things in our sales and business development world, right? Where I work every day for my career. We have this phrase, you've got to stop looking at things up close and take the 60,000 foot view. You've got to go far up and look down and get the full view of everything, meaning that you've got to be able to connect the dots. And I think that's where the challenge lies. We continue. I think it's just the broadband. We continue to have this. We're locked in this up close relationship with everything that we do. We always look at things so, up close that we don't get the big picture, so that we're able to see how everything is interdependent and all the different pieces and how everything is fully connected. Okay, so if you don't have the big picture to see how everything is connected, then what will happen is you will zoom in on one thing and start focusing only on that one thing, not knowing that as you change that one thing, it affects so many other things in the food chain. You get my point? So you bring up the point of the cassava processing, right? So if you bring up the issue of cassava, like you rightly said, cassava chips is a multi-billion-dollar business. Is a multi-billion-dollar business. So when you look in the case of Liberia, right? If you say Liberia, if you say cassava chips equals multi-billion-dollar business for export equals, right? All counties in Liberia, because the beauty of Liberia is that cassava grows in every county in Liberia. So the question now should be on the board: how does every county in Liberia participate in getting a piece of this multi-billion-dollar business that's global? Okay, how does our port system, right, to support the exporting of the chips? And how does our, this thing on my background here, how does our energy supply support the value addition process so that we don't export raw cassava chips dried and packed in the bags and loaded in containers, but we add value to it so we can create more jobs at every county level? And then how does the LRA tax system tie into that, so that we're integrated with all of the Liberian companies that participate in this process? You cannot do that from a narrow point of view. You've got to do it from a 60,000 foot view. You've got to go way up and look all the way down, so you see all the different connecting parts. And then you develop a plan to attack it from all of those parts, and then you get a greater understanding and a revelation as to how each role, each part plays, and what role energy plays, what role the roads play, what role the airports play, what role the manufacturing side play, the ports play, what role the vocational training school plays, what role the education system plays in the agronomists, all of the young graduates from BWI and every other vocational training school, what role they play as being technicians, what role the cell phone, mobile phone companies play in technology, so that these young people can be agronomy technicians or agriculture technicians in the Ministry of Agriculture, working in every county. I will use your word. You talked about decentralization. So to attack this multi-billion-dollar business from the Liberian perspective and getting all the counties involved. So if you go back again, you do the math. You do the math. About 1%, or let's just say 5% of 1 billion. Let's go say 1% of $1 billion should be about $100 million, correct? 1%. 1%.
10 million.
You
said 1 billion? You said 1 billion?
1 billion is a billion. Yeah. The cassava business is $1 billion business. It's $1 billion business. If you just go to Google,
that's 100 million.
It's $100 million. So for a small country like Liberia, $100 million coming in, right, or export. Just imagine what $100 million in the cassava sector can do for all 16 counties. Just imagine what that can do. Just imagine what that can do for the agriculture sector and all of the small farmers, medium-sized farmers, large farmers. The other day, I was just reading online that you just came from Ghana, right? The largest coconut export guy in Ghana, the largest exporter in Ghana for coconut, the young Ghanaian guy. A multimillionaire on planting thousands of acres of coconut and exporting it. and then processing the hull of the coconut, because that hull you can process it and make mats. And where do they use those mats? They put them on the side of the hills to prevent erosion. Okay. Cassava chips, global global market. So the global market, right here on Google, global cassava snack market size is estimated at $19 billion in 2023.
So I'm reading a
19 billion.
story here from November 14, 2 days ago, about a Nigerian lady. I will just share the screen so people can see and know that this is not a lie, right? In terms of the kind of things that people, the money that people are making. Let's see, present, share screen. You can read it. You can read it if you want. Can you see the screen?
Yeah, I can see it. It says meet a woman. Yeah, it's the headline: Lucy the Matthias post. Lucy Matthias, meet a woman who produces over 10,000 tons of cassava and makes over $12 million annually. That's equivalent to what, $1 million a month. $1 million a month. Meet Yemisi Iranloyi, the Nigerian entrepreneur who has been the undisputed cassava queen. So when is Liberia going to produce this next cassava queen? Despite facing competition from multinational corporations, she has maintained her dominance in the cassava industry. With her company, Plastry International, Iranyoli produces an impressive 10,000 tons of cassava annually, generating an astonishing annual turnover of $12 million. Her success is a testament to her unwavering determination and business acumen. Iranyoli's journey began in her hometown of Ilasa, Osun State, Nigeria. She started her business with a modest investment and a deep understanding. There you go. There you go again, Ava. A deep understanding of the cassava value chain. So I will stop there. So it's right back to what we've been talking on Business Talk. The power of understanding, the importance of understanding. I mean, how vital is understanding? If you're going into any business sector, you've got to come in there with knowledge and understanding. Do your research, do your homework, so that you will be what? You will be able to challenge the competition, to go against the status quo. You will be able to find your place and build your wealth in that sector. Understanding of the cassava value chain. Over the years, she has expanded her operations and now owns several cassava processing plants. There you go. So she went from planting to processing, understanding the value chain, and she attacked it. Again, go just what I was saying earlier. You've got to have a plan. You've got to have a strategy. You got to have KPIs, key performance indexes. You got to have your targets. And you got to get the right people in the right places so that they can deliver transformation. Iranyoli company provides employment, there you go, to hundreds of Nigerians and plays a significant role in the country's agricultural sector. She is also actively involved in promoting sustainable farming practices and empowering women in agriculture. Despite the challenges faced by female entrepreneurs in Nigeria, Iranyoli has persevered and become a role model for aspiring business owners. Her story is an inspiration to all who strive to make a difference in their communities and industries. There you go. There you go. So again, let's take from this story. Look at that. Thank you, Ava. I mean, highlight that one story, that one with the trucks, the one with the trucks. Yeah, I mean, look at that. So you've got, and I mean, the thing is, what role, right? I'm sure She understands the value chain, and she's got everybody playing a role. I'm sure there are smaller farmers that she doesn't own their farms, but she's buying all of their production. We talked about it a couple of weeks ago. So again, there's got to be a plan. There's got to be a strategy. You've got to have knowledge and you've got to have understanding so that you will be able to get the right people, put them in the right places. I mean, if she's doing processing plants, that means she's got electricity. She's got electricity. That means she's got engineers. If she's being able to make $12 million a year, that means she's got what? CPAs, financial people, accounting people. In order for her to be able to plant the right crop, that means she's got agronomists in the field working. Go ahead.
So you see the different people. No, I'm just trying to give you all the different people you named just now in terms of people who either provide a service to her or people who support her. You see? So the better a business is and it scales up, the more services it will need from other small businesses. So that's why this thing is called something called a virtuous cycle, not a vicious cycle, but a virtuous cycle where it's beneficial to relate and connect with each other and be able to build on each other. So it's very important that we as Liberians understand these things. I'm excited about what the folks in the cassava sector are trying to do. They're trying to build collaboration and unity amongst them and be able to reach out, to government, to other key players to be a part of that process. So we need more organization in different sectors. There's actually enough for everybody to eat. That one of my friends say, there's enough for people to eat.
There's enough.
Some people want to be greedy. Some people want to undermine other people. But if we open up our space.
I'm reading something here also on Google, right? So it say I did a search in Google and said West Africa's largest cassava producer. It brought up, guess who? Nigeria. Nigeria is the largest producer of cassava in West Africa and the world. Nigeria's cassava production. Yeah. Well, not only a commitment. Before you make a commitment, go back to what they said about this lady. You clearly identify what the world needs. You were saying it earlier. There are people who want our mangoes. There are people who want our cassava. There are people who want our coconut. There are people who want our pepper. There are people who want our tropical produce. So you identify, right? You come to terms with the reality that there's a world out there, outside of Liberia, outside of West Africa, that want these things that you have. And then number two, you develop the proper and required understanding. Okay, you bring understanding to bear, because understanding, that's where the real power is in understanding. And then you develop a plan and then you have a strategy as how to achieve that plan. And that's what Nigeria did. I mean, the next point here is that Nigeria is the largest producer of cassava, right? Nigeria's cassava production is more than a third higher than Brazil and almost double that of Indonesia and Thailand. Imagine that. Nigeria, cassava. And most people only know Nigeria for oil and gas.
Yep.
You see?
Yep.
So, I mean, and if you do another Google search on your side, I want to change my screen. You'll see that if you ask what is the global market for cassava, the global market for cassava is probably I think it's 25 billion. I saw it earlier, about $25 billion. So just cassava alone, and it says the next time you're looking for that, it says Nigeria is the largest producer of cassava by area in West Africa, accounting for 26% of total planting, almost 1/3. Imagine that. Nigeria has a diverse group of cassava farmers and processors, breeding programs. So that means they have a whole agronomy program that's strategically focused on cassava because it has been identified as a job creator and export earnings. So again, if she's processing, that means she's exporting value, that she has a value addition chain. So the tax entity of Nigeria is collecting higher value taxes, higher dollar taxes on exporting value product. Go on, Avan. What did you find there?
What number did you give just now as the value of the cassava market size?
I think about
Global
25
cassava
billion or
market.
something like that. About 25 billion.
You need to multiply that thing by nearly 7. Hold on 1 second. I don't, I, I, I don't know where you get that information from, but let me share this here.
Global cassava.
Just so people can see.
Yeah,
This is
170.
the global
Yeah.
global
Okay,
cassava
I'll read
market.
it. Yeah, I'll read
Oh yeah,
it.
go ahead.
The global cassava market overview. The cassava market size was valued at $175.9 billion in 2022. So write that down. The global cassava market was valued at $175.9 billion in 2022. Cassava. The cassava you see in Raylan market, Jogbata market, or Douala market, we take for granted. We take it for granted simply because we don't know, we don't have knowledge, and we don't have understanding. The cassava industry is projected, there you go, is projected to grow from USD, right? 183.25 billion in this year, 2024, to USD 254.28 billion dollars by 2032. Yes. Hold on 1 minute. Go ahead. Go ahead, Abba. I'll take this call.
Yeah. So folks, we have it right there. We have the cassava. We have the cassava leaves, and they're just a whole bunch of products that can be made from cassava. And we got several of them right in Africa, but there are also some commercial purposes for cassava. So I will just share this other screen with people so they can see. And we do some of this thing right in Liberia. We just may need to scale up to be able to, get to this level of value addition and be able to, produce at the level where we're exporting and other people in the world are getting our products. So if you look at this little list here, in terms of list of products made from cassava,
Oh,
right?
Ava, let me just interrupt you. Let me just interrupt. Dwalu wants you to please send him the link. Dwalu wants to come on. He's passionate about the private sector. He wants to come on right away, please.
All right, let me say the link.
Yeah.
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 So you can keep on sharing
So
the screen with
yeah,
people telling
go
them,
back. Yeah, go back. Go back up. Let me finish reading this thing here about the cassava.
oh,
So
okay.
cassava is the third largest source of food carbohydrates in tropical region, and it is the main staple food in many developing countries. According to statistics, go back to that where the dollar value was. Let's go back to the dollar value. I want to continue on
Okay.
that. Yeah, the dollar value. But send that thing to Dwalu. He really wants to come on. Dwalu is passionate about the private sector.
Just do the entire screen.
Yeah. So while Abba is doing that, we need to understand. The talking about the role of the private sector in Liberia's growth, development, and economic prosperity is so huge. It's not something you can just talk about in one day show. But we did took one slice, one little piece, and we're not even talking about the whole agriculture sector. We're just talking about the cassava sector, just cassava alone. Just cassava alone. So I will continue reading here. It says that by 2032, the cassava industry is projected to grow from $183.25 billion this year, 2024, and is going to grow to $254.28 billion. So just imagine
By
that
2032.
growth by 2032, exhibiting a compound annual growth rate of 4.18% during the forecast period from 2024 this year to 2032. Increasing demand for cassava starch is in the food and beverage industry. surging usage of cassava for the production of sweeteners. There you go. And high usage of cassava in snacks and cereals are the key market drivers enhancing the market growth. So this is the key. So we don't, again, if you go back to what we're just reading about the lady, the cassava queen in Nigeria. What did it say? She grew in understanding of the value chain, of the cassava value chain. So it's telling us here that what we're doing with cassava in Liberia is nothing. I mean, go back up to that phrase. Okay. So it's right there. Okay. Irayoli journey began in her hometown. And when she started her business with a modest investment and a deep understanding of the cassava value chain. So that's the key.
So just to give people perspective, 1% of that 184 billion, 1%, that 1,840,000. So that 10, 12 million that woman making, it doesn't even touch the needle.
It doesn't. No, it doesn't.
It doesn't even scratch the surface of anything. It's way less than 0.0001%. That's 18 million out of 184 billion. So, folks, we have the potential. What we have, people need it. We need facilitation and we need skill. For skill, SCALE, for them to scale it up to produce more. That's what we need. We need to find out one target market.
And again, even before the scaling, Abba, we need understanding, right? Understanding. We need we have the Ministry of Agriculture. You talked about the other key word, decentralization. We need the Ministry of Agriculture to physically exist, present itself, make a presence where? In every county seat of government. One of the largest education sector in Liberia is what? It's agriculture. You go to every vocational training school, they're teaching agriculture. You go to LU, you go to Cottonton, you go to Grand Bassa Community College, you go to NIMBA, you go to LOFA. There's agriculture being taught. You go to MDTC, you go to BWI. Agriculture is being taught. The question now becomes, what are we doing with these young men and young women who graduate from the sector? Have we identified as a people,
these young people who want to be entrepreneurs? We've got to give them ability. There got to be some kind of loan program or something where you can have a small farm with 5 acres, 10 acres, and be able to produce. And there's a commitment from government, whether it's the Ministry of Commerce or Ministry of Agriculture, that they would search for partners that can offtake. That if I offtake
what you. That's exactly right.
You buy what I get. So look, let me, can you see my screen right now?
I see your screen.
Let me share the screen right now. Yeah, let me share it. Hold on 1 second.
I sent the link to Dwalu already, so I'm waiting for him to come on.
Oh, okay. I sent it to him too.
Yeah.
Let me share this other little piece of nugget. Because there's just so much opportunity.
Hey, Dwalu, there you are, Mr. Motivated, inspired, energized, empowered, private sector driven man.
Okay, so look at this trend. Look at this trend. This is avocado, our butter pear, right?
Yeah.
It has a lesser world value than market value than cassava. But look at the growth. From 2024 to 2025, it will grow, to 11.54. It will nearly double in 2026.
Yes, that's exactly right. Yeah.
If we cannot anticipate this and start to encourage the growth of avocados for our farmers and business people, that they can be able to be a part of this world demand that would nearly double in 2026, then what are we? What are we? We've got to start looking for our people.
But the thing is this, right? When we're reading the story about the cassava queen in Nigeria, Understanding. That lady, it says from modest beginning, and she brought what? She studied, she grew in knowledge, and she grew in understanding of what? Of the cassava value chain.
Correct.
So she was very strategic. She identified it, she understood it, and she got, and that's where the challenge lies. Again, like I said, this up close viewing, this up close looking, we always look so close at something as opposed to stepping back and taking a 60,000 foot view and looking so much further to see how everything is interconnected. The technical word is what? The value chain. The value chain. But how are we? There's no understanding as to how we, Liberia, can play a strategic role in the global marketplace, using our human resources, using our land resources, using our tropical climate, and using all of the education system. All these young people, we just had graduation. We just graduated over 1,000 young people with agronomy degrees and certificates and diplomas. Where are we placing them? Again, we're talking about the role of the private sector for Liberia's growth, development, and prosperity. But we're just talking about one little piece. We started on the cassava. Now you talk about avocado. But let's say the agricultural sector. How does how can we bring?
Offsets of one sector.
One little step. Yeah, Duano, chime in here. Jump in here.
Okay, I'll say you raised something, and I want to counter, not in the negative. But there's, I believe, the part of the failure is on us. It's not on our local farmers. Let me explain why I take that position.
But I didn't blame the farmers.
Eh?
I didn't blame the farmers.
No, you're not blaming the farmer, but you're saying, you said, when are we going to take part in this war market? How are we going to? Right. This is okay. That's what my blame. Maybe blame is a wrong word. What we've done, those of us. Okay, let me reverse a little bit. And
take your time.
I've been working the president on this thing, and I said, I know you're in Liberia. On Friday, I finally found a document. The website, you got to help me build it. We got to help build it.
No problem.
Okay, because the guys that will build the website, because this thing, what you're talking about, the thing is, I won't lie to nobody. I say, sorry, I will say this. I don't want to be your Asian, still talking about Liberia without having any impact. It scares the living hell out of me. That we will have no impact in Liberia.
That's exactly right.
It's not to say we don't have the brain power now to compete on a global scale, but we just refuse because of seed money. The problem here is most of the local farmers in Liberia, even when we talk about the cassava, I would say maybe 20 different people that plant cassava across the country. They've literally called me and said, Walu, so long you can buy the cassava from us, we are willing to plant as much cassava as you guys need. The problem here is we have not organized a consolidation scheme that will trickle down across the country. So let's say, for example, we segmentalize the country into 5 different zones. The eastern zone, western zone, southeastern zone, whatever zone you want to call it, right? And these zones, we have massive warehouses in these locations. And we say, Mr. Phillips, if you're playing the cassava, we'll buy it. This is the market rate. We buy it in tonnage. And we create a consolidation point where we begin for exports. I believe we can start capitalizing on this avocado market that you're talking about. Even though we don't have massive avocado farms in Liberia, but they are scattered all over the place, we can still consolidate, even from the plum and everything else. And this is where, when I was in Liberia between January, I think all the way to April, and I kept pushing this to the administration. Look, we need to see money. And see money, like every society that has developed, they took their entrepreneurs and said, listen, this is the seed money. And the government can subsidize some of these operations. Doesn't mean government have to fund it because we don't have the money up front. I even went to the extent that I was willing to collateralize up to $2 million with my property in Liberia so we can start this venture. Because let me tell you, Mr. Phillips, I have no doubt, none whatsoever, that if we can begin some consolidation point, just minimally with cassava that we just spoke about, we can export massively in the span of 5 to 7 years. We can begin a major operation in the country. And this is how we're going to grow. And the point I was stressing, look, the multinational corporations can come to Liberia, and we think this is our primary source of tax generation. They're not.
They're not.
It's more marketing. Yeah. We can expand our operation. So for me, I believe the reason why most people are hesitating in the country to even grow from the cassava to the plums to even the airplanes that we buy here, we know how expensive they are. The plantains, these consolidation points, is because they cannot sell them, I say. How do we create an avenue for them to sell them? It's something I've been pitching to the government. I'm saying, listen, even if it's $2 million, it doesn't have to be a gram. Make it a loan. The Liberian Diaspora Corporation, and we can come into the country.
And modify the terms. The terms.
And modify the terms.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
Here's a point, Ken, before I give it to you. This kind of venture will create massive amount of jobs across the country.
There you go. There you go. There you go.
Soon the country, now everybody's not just looking at the government, but that's the third point. You will have, now, I have to say this. We shouldn't be saying this, but we just have to say this for disclaimer. This is not a suggestion that we don't have all the expertise in the country. But the point I'm trying to make is, if you have this kind of private ventures going, you will have an influx of Liberians that are extremely qualified into the country, and you have a higher stock of quality stock to pick from to come into government.
That's exactly right. That's it. Yeah.
And it helps the country grow very fast. But when we talk it, people don't want to listen to it. We need to see money. This is what me and Ozzy have been working on this stuff, and with the Liberian Diaspora Corporation. It was very expensive with the lawyers and the CPAs to put the document together. It's finalized, and as in Liberia, and because I was paying out of pocket to pay these guys, they are finalized it. The state of Massachusetts already approved it. Now we're going to launch the website. Once the website is built, now the website is going to be about $4.99. I say because I wanted top quality. Now we can go to the $1,000 website.
I want to say $4.99 is not top quality. We do
no, why I'm saying that because I was going with the $4.99 for it, and I said no, because I want something unless around it $9.99 or $1,000. Now, on that end, we'll have to split it some kind of a way, as
no problem.
Yeah, to put a website out there because I want everything in the open.
Right.
If we raise $5, it will be in the open. And I want to design in a way where we have total definition on our intent. Obviously, over time, it's going to grow. There will be modifications, but in the beginning, we have to groom in some kind of a way.
Yeah.
I want to make it be like this.
No, the thing is this, Dwalu. Okay, I was listening to you last night, you're passionately driven by the private sector. And I left a comment in the chat for you last night. And I said, let us not forget, right? We cannot put the cart before the horse.
I agree.
Okay. So this thing behind me, this backdrop behind me here, plays a very vital role in all of those concentration points you talked about, because you got climate control issues. If you don't have climate control, you're going to have a fungus problem that would damage all of your production. Now you got a loss. You're talking about, concentration points, in every county. Then you got logistic trucks. You're going to contract Liberian transporter to haul the things from the farm that bring it to different places.
Thank you.
This thing here plays a very vital role. It plays a very vital role because, again, it's not just the planting, okay? Then you got just before you came on, we're talking about the education system. All these young people graduating from BWI, LOIC, MVTC, Cottonton, all the different colleges with agronomy degrees, agriculture degrees. Where are you going to place them? That's our source of agricultural technicians with tablets connected to Lone Star and Orange for GPS coordinates on all of the small farmers so that we can get the acreage that have been planted so that you can aggregate your production and leverage it to your off-takers. You get my point, okay? Yeah. Part of that $2 million you're talking about could probably buy 3 or 4 cassava processing machines, put them strategically in different regions, as you mentioned. So you go for concentration, okay? Then the processing, then you got to invest money in the port of Monrovia, the port of Buchanan, the port of Greenville. So that from those places, so are you going to put the processing at the port where you can minimize transportation? Okay, so all of those things are all part of this thing, and the energy supply plays a role. It plays a role in the industrialization, the growth, and the sustainability of the private sector. And one of the points Alva and I talked about before you came on, that's our short, medium, and long-term goal. That the government should be smaller and the private sector should be greater.
Exactly.
So, and again, there was a point you mentioned last night, right? All of this private sector growth, to a degree, it scares certain people.
Let me share a story.
when you economically empower people, I made this comment. I made this comment on Ava when you weren't here the last time, and I did an interview on last Monday on Prime FM. And remember this phrase: the economics transforms the politics. The economics transform the politics. What do I mean? When you have a robust private sector, where a lot of people have private sector jobs and their lives are being transformed, you can no longer buy them with a bag of rice or a cup of beans.
Impossible.
Because that's when now the economics has transformed the politics.
I agree.
They will no longer sit there and let some guy from Timbuktu come and run and be the district representative. No. That man ain't gonna lead us.
Nope.
Yes. So that's why the private sector and this thing here have to be hand in hand, because again, then the LRA that you talked about earlier, Ava, okay, can now increase their tax revenue collection. And then we can now cover the cost of operating this government, to pay for the difference in the healthcare and everything else.
Absolutely.
That's why I don't like this close-up view. I like this 60,000-foot view where you see everything, how it is intricately connected and interdependent. You see, this agriculture thing needs to be looked at from a holistic value chain level for economic transformation and job creation. That's my point. Go on, Dwalu.
No, I was coming in.
Yeah, come in, Abba.
No, I'm in total agreement. The opportunity is huge. I'm glad you've really pushed that barrier. Let's do the website as soon as we can. I think it makes a difference if that information is out there, is shared with people, and these various opportunities can be made clear to them. We can tell them what it would cost to do X, Y, Z, and what the potential, revenue, and then ultimately profit will be. And people got to understand any investment is a risk, right? But this is basically a sure possibility of getting return on your investment.
Count me in on that, please.
And there are multiple ways that we can start to control our thing. We can push pressure on the government. Next month is the Diaspora Liberia annual return.
Yeah.
I was just in a conversation with people about how can there be a soft landing for people from the diaspora, whether it's incentive driven, whether it's being able to provide certain partnerships, whether it's being able to say, we dedicate. Look, in Kenya, I have a friend, American lady, she's into tourism. The chief, one of the guys who fought along with Jomo Kenyatta, in his area, they gave her 40 acres.
Imagine that.
Bring your American friends, your start a village or town, whatever. So we can even start agricultural communities, because again, agriculture is therapeutic. Whether it's a small farm, whether you're doing vegetables or whatever, just working in a farm and doing that kind of stuff can be helpful to people. It can keep you busy and build new communities that can be self-sufficient. They can have their own water system, their sewer system, their grocery store, their energy system. Then you decentralize it and you can build these kind of not necessarily retired communities, but inbuilt communities around the country. People will be willing to come. But again, we said a couple of things got to start to happen.
Yeah.
Improve healthcare, improve security. That are the two biggest things that many in the diaspora are concerned about. Our court system definitely in terms of contracts and people being able to really be able to get redress with the justice system. Once we get those three things in place, a lot of other things will just happen for us. So, I'm just excited about what's happening, what the potential is. Some people may say, oh, things are really hard right now. Yeah, things are hard because the last 6 years were trash. You will not even understand how our governance system has been bankrupt until you actually engage some of these institutional eyes over the last 6 years. Show me the financial statements from this public corporation over the last 6 years. Show me any of your key performance indicators over the last 6 years. Show me the strategic plan you used for last 5 years, maybe first year you used to build it. Show me your strategic plan, and then show me your business plan, maybe year by year. They can't show it. Yeah, basically, the country was just running by itself. So it has to start from somewhere.
The reason they can't show it, is simply because fundamentally they didn't even understand what they were doing. Okay, so you can't. And again,
No. Look, the U.S. government. You said it yourself. The U.S. government does not have all the competence. The U.S. government. Look, they got project system. I've worked for so many U.S. government agencies, and it was private firms I worked for, working for the U.S. government.
That's exactly right. Yes.
So they don't have all the expertise. Our government cannot expect a minister to have the capability you or I have, but they can have the understanding that they need that service, need that assistance.
Ava, don't put your head on the chopping board. You're a married man, you got a wife, and you got children who are looking forward to your future. Don't make the assumption. What I'm saying, don't make the assumption that these guys have understanding. They simply do not.
I'm not necessarily saying that.
Yeah, but I say, if look, the thing is, look, I mean, you know, when you think about the mega corporations here in America, you would think, say, when you think about, okay, most recently, I just got a job with Amazon, massive operation, right? And you would think, say, they got everything under control.
No.
I am in charge of all the subcontractors as the regional procurement manager here in the Northeast. And I will tell you, most of the operation in those warehouses, I would say 80% are run by subcontractors. So the general manager doesn't have to understand or know how waste management works. Right. But he contracts with waste management, right? And maybe we'll contract with an accounting firm to do all. Look, guys, to find solution is extremely difficult. This is why most people talk and not focus on the issue of solution. But the reason why we continue to look back to the government, and guys, please share the show. You know, let's talk about these things that are pertinent to the country. This is the only way we can change Liberia. The politics is important. But talking about business where we can make that turnaround that every other country has done. One thing I want you guys to understand, though, the blueprint is already out there. It's been done by 10,000 different countries. So we are not just copy and pasting. We indigenize the Liberian condition, but it's already out there. We're not redefining or reinventing the wheel, right? That's what we're going to say. Governments are instituted to make sure they strengthen the private sector, because it is to the benefit of the government if a budgeting private sector is growing in our environment. Now, you cannot mention the issue of electrification. Look, it's foundational. Water supply, road connectivity, electrification, they are cardinal. They are very, very important. But for me, I don't stress on that too much, because in this infancy, if the government is willing to even say, you know what, Ron Dwalu, and I wrote, and I think I sent it to you, something that I presented to the administration. I sent you a copy at the time to take a look at how we can address the private sector from diaspora and Liberian perspective. Where, look, in this country, we have close to $20 billion capitalization every single year. Liberians are working here in the country, the kind of money we get every single year in the West. We got that kind of money. Can we pull from this resource that are free money? Like I said, there's nothing guaranteed. But imagine if we strategically plan these massive 1 million, 2 million square foot warehouses across the country. I don't focus on the Port of Monrovia. I want to focus on the Port of Buchanan, because we have a lot of space there. And then when we can cut out a portion for Liberian shipping export, you can get a massive container ship, 20, 30 container, medium size, for $20, $30 million. This is not a lot of money when we talk about a major export. I went to graduate school, one of the manager here, a market basket here in Massachusetts. And last week we were having a conversation, and I brought up Liberia. I said, my man, Timothy, this working. We went to high school together, we went to college together. So that my man from way back. I said, my man, in my country, if we plant okra, because you were talking about the okra supply, because it's a subcontractor that supply market basket with the chopped okra. You know the okra we can buy?
In the bag,
in the bag. It's a company that supplies it. So we were talking about the issue of okra. And I know okra grow like crazy in our country, for example, right? And I said, well, Timo, let me ask you a question. Can you get an outside supplier? He said we can get a supplier from anywhere in the world. They just have to meet FDA standards, right? So let's assume the Liberian Diaspora Corporation is set up. And we say, my man, we can supply you okra, and we contact okra growers across the country. One thing about okra, it grows every month, every 2 months, you can have it.
That's exactly right.
And we get a plant in Liberia that have the capacity. Obviously, electrification is required for these perishable goods, right? He said, well, if you can supply, we send an agent, and if that's kind of line that can be supplied, we give you our standard. You can package where in Liberia. That means we get a warehousing system in Liberia, an entire warehouse with 10,000 employees packaging okra all day. They cut the more. We're packaging it for market basket here in America.
Yeah.
We're talking about the kind of jobs. This kind of operation, $1 million can start it just from okra.
Yeah.
And this is what we are talking about. How can we in the diaspora find a way to find the initial funding? I said $2-3 million is a place to start. Like I told the administration, I'm willing to collateralize that. Take my building, hold it in trust. I have 150 acres in the country. Hold it in trust. And say, you know what, if you don't pay the money back, we take your bidding. This is how much I believe how we can grow the private sector. Because if we can do that, we can now find express to come into the country and we can start growing as a society.
So what you do also in this, Dwalo, I'm sure there are so many Liberians that you know, Dwalo, that I know, that Ava you know, who have 150 acres, 200 acres, 300 acres, 400 acres, land that's deeded. They've got their deeds.
Yeah.
So all we need in the middle there, if you are already strategically positioned with the Amazon people, right? You leverage that. All we need in the middle is some kind of a bank, be it GT Bank, UBA Bank, or whatever the case is. Sell the idea, because now you see, we were talking about it before you came on.
Yeah.
What you're talking about there is the off-taker. Who's going to buy this stuff? Who's going to buy it? So if we can assure that, guarantee that, I don't use the word guarantee, assure that these guys will fly in the Antonov or whatever the case is to pick up that stuff 3 days a week and fly it out.
Fly it out.
They'll fly it out.
That's what he said too.
That's exactly right. Because at that time, because the thing is, if you look at RIA, you look at Smenotes, you look at Dolostown, right? Those are all areas right there, and then there's a big. You've got everything, the landmass and everything is there in the lower Magibi area, so that you can bring these things
to flowers.
That's it. There you go. Because,
right
like you said,
the airport, we got Magibi, we got Grand Paso, we got parts of Monserrado.
That's it. Yes.
Those 3 areas you can play.
Those 3 areas, yes.
And be able to get aggregate and get them refrigerated on the plane in a short amount of time.
In a short amount of time.
And that startup capital to really push some of these things. But I think we're on the way, Dwalu. So, I'm in Liberia. I've been on here nearly a couple of hours now.
I saw your video. This morning. I saw your video. But actually, this is doable. For me, like I said, I got to send you the listing of Liberian across the globe, especially here in the West. From Europe, from Australia. I said, Dwalu, my man, you said this thing what we want to contribute. Liberians are eager to contribute. Because look, even if you put your $1,000 inside, let's say, God forbid, and everything didn't go initially as planned, and your $1,000 is pumped into Liberia, where we create thousands of jobs across the country. I say, this is a window for our legacy to our country, where if we can establish an operation that employ, imagine you put in a 2,000 graduate, a Liberian Diaspora Corporation. Now, I know you give it a better name. Liberian Diaspora, what was it?
Equity Fund.
Okay, Liberian Diaspora
Equity Fund. Yeah.
Equity Fund comes in and say, you know what? We'll hire the whole class of 2024 out of LU as sub, managers in training or supervisors in training, and we distribute it. You imagine how far that would make our people think that we're doing something in the country. And
you can make people heroes, right? You break them up. Whatever country you come from, that way you work.
That's exactly right.
Our logistical stuff, our aggregation, help with our storage, and then we'll find the drivers to bring them
logistics,
to that
storage, transport, facilities, the finance people, accountants, organizers,
for I work in sales, marketing, and business development every day as an engineer. And one of the greatest challenges for us, one of the guys who I admire the most is the CEO for Africa Development Bank, Adesina. That guy
and guess Africa's, what? Guess what? Who do you think his special assistant or strategist is?
Oh, I know. Liberian. That's Max Jarrett. So that guy, if you listen to that guy he's the #1 salesman, marketing man, and business development specialist for Africa. That guy can make the case, and this is what is needed in this thing. There's got to be a business development team, a sales and marketing team that can make the case so that the investors who are the Liberian diaspora And you need, right? You need somewhere in the middle there, a local bank that can, because again, bankers, they have a unique place because they're the ones that bring the fun dreams, right? They bring the dreams, they bring the plans into reality.
Yeah.
That's their role. But again, in order for them to leverage with it, you need to sell them on the idea.
I agree.
You need to sell them on the idea. And what do they want in return? All of the sales and the process, all of the sales and everything have to pass through them so they can get their piece off the top. That's
it. Everybody eats.
Everybody eats. And once you get that processing, once you get that facility there and you got the off taker and you're already strategically positioned, and we've got the Liberian if the Liberian diaspora is remitting $800 million a year by sending away MoneyGram and Western Union into Liberia, then what is $2 million?
And there's nothing compared to what we take in our pocket. In fact, when I say we're going to Liberia, the money you took in his pocket is not accounted for.
Thank you.
So normally, that money is way more than what you say to the MoneyGram.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
You know, so
Yeah,
guys,
so
share the show. This is a big deal for our country. This is the kind of show that we got to come on and we will take your suggestions. Sometime I believe I would love to have some of you guys on and say, listen, how do we go from point A, which we're literally struggling? We have feces flowing through our primary streets in Monrovia. How can we transition that? And we demarcate the country in a way where maybe the southeastern portion of Liberia become a cocoa belt. And then we're supplying McDonald's. I mean, not McDonald's here, but let's go Starbucks here. And we have
Hershey.
Okay, so these operations, look, it's an initial funding, but I want to say this to you, Ken, and you did say something about the banking system in the country. I want to say big kudos to the National Investment Commission. They were very receptive of some of the recommendations I made to them. And Brother Sharif, he's one of the deputy over there. I believe the government should have this. Look, the government don't have to come up with the money. But me, Dwalu, I cannot go out there in the open. Nobody knows me. But if I'm staffed with the mentor of the Republic of Liberia in some fashion, they'll go out there and say, listen, as if I talk about the Liberian Diaspora Equity Fund, have this strategy for the expansion of eggplant and exportation into Europe. This is the strategy. These are the demarcation. The Liberian government is willing to back any investor that will come into the country to buttress our effort. If you're willing to borrow $5 million to start this operation, we can split the team 50-50 through. I'm not giving an example now. These are other ways we can actually generate this money. Now, you can say the government don't have money, but we cannot individually go out there and get money. And this is why the Liberian Diaspora Fund is something we try. It's another window that we're trying to utilize, because even the banks in the country, some of them don't have that kind of money. The liquidity is not there to borrow you the money. So where do we get the money from? It's the initial capital. That's what we're struggling with, I say.
So Dwalu, let's the same thing we're telling people out there. Let's work on the business plan.
Correct.
That we can even share with some other experts who may be even better than us and have some
way better.
We source it around, get some direct input from other people, and we'll be able to look LBDI or maybe even Echo Bank or GT Bank. If we really present to them and they see this opportunity, they can buy into it. So let's keep working it. Let's do the website, start drafting the business plan, and see how we can get more people. I mean, I already have the framework for the business plan, so it's not that complex. We'll do it.
The website take a week to do. I was just waiting for the state's approval. Now that the approval is in, the website takes a week. I mean, the guys on the calendar. We can do it for anywhere, right? And
anyway.
Yeah, anyway.
We'll just get together probably tomorrow. Tomorrow I'm kind of light, so we can get together and look at the wireframes for it, the different pages, and some of the content we want, and start populating.
And another thing, I want the guys to, especially the people from around the world, because I want all the questions on our website to be fine-tuned on the website live, where we can make it in a way that everybody is considered, and all the questions that will have pertaining to this thing is asked. And one of the things I even recommended in the diaspora paper that I published was, let's assume we come up with the first 5 project, right? And then it's on the website. Let's say the first 5 project, Cassava is a Monday, blah, 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 blah. The population that is actually involved with this, you have a voting right. So listen, Dwalu, you gotta do the warehouse expansion first, for example. You gotta do the coconut processing first for coconut oil, for example. So those can be options that will be on the website, and everybody can get included. We establish a team. Look, I don't know one field now. We may not be in every, but I don't know one that you will not have some kind of Liberian expertise in there. that we can tap into, even if they're not in Liberia wholeheartedly. We say, my man, we want to do a
Look,
consulting.
the world is virtual. Nobody has to be in Liberia today to
Thank
make an
you.
impact.
Thank
That's
you.
exactly right.
Nobody.
Yeah.
Nobody.
I think, like I said, I
People
mean,
who think that way, but it's not required.
It's not
I,
required.
Not required.
I think, like I said, I mean, count me in on this. I really want to be a part of this. Count me in on this, right? Because I think, that there's a lady. I think if you go to Google, that Dwalu and Ava, you probably know of her. Somewhere up there in Banga, there's already a cassava planting co-op, and yes, if you go to Google and you just talk about Boncante cassava, project, and you hit Google, it will bring up her story. So, there's already, I mean, even on this whole project, right? The way I would go about doing that's just me. I will start small, find something that's already existing. Last week, I think 2 weeks ago, while we were on the show, I was traveling in Tanzania. A guy called from Cape Mount. He's a pineapple grower. He called. We were talking about the same private sector, small Liberian businesses, how to help small Liberian businesses.
Last week on the show.
No, I think 2 or 3 weeks ago when you were in Tanzania. 2 or 3 weeks ago, he called in. I got his contact.
Yes.
I talked to him off the air. The guy the old man told me, he said, look, there's several of us in Cape Mount, and we are pineapple growers. We grow pineapples, but the problem is we all harvest at the same time. And then the only market is Monrovia. So everybody loads up their pineapples and brings it into the one market to sell it. And then guess what happened? There's an oversupply.
Okay, yes, good news for them. Yes, good news for them. Good news for them. There's a Liberian guy who is building a manufacturing and processing plant in Nimba. He's actually looking for 16 million suckers of pineapple right now. He already is in the juicing business in the US. He has one of the, I think it's Tropicana or one of those, smoothies kind of business. But he's building this, and this factory, it will be FDA certified, Dwalu. So that's a potential partner in terms of some of the other things we want to do to pass our processing through there. He's going to go into cold storage as well. And we're bringing on the show one of these days to talk about his effort. I just connected him with a guy in Lofa who will be able to do, I forgot the name of the process, but help him get those suckers that he wants to plant. He's also looking at people who got land, in proximity of Saninkole where the stuff will be, to be able to grow pineapples that it can be easy in terms of transportation, getting it to him, or getting him collecting it and being able to process. So that's a big step in our direction. So the people in Cape Mount, we'll connect them to and see, what the possibility of them interacting and being able to push the sector. But agriculture has a huge potential for us as Liberians, and we have to explore it to the maximum.
And like I said, like I've always been saying, we're not doing the critical thinking and the deep thinking on these points. We're not doing it. We're being very shallow. And like I told the guy, look, that if you go to any drinking spot, any restaurant, any hotel, motel across Liberia, there's only one juice. It's called Solo Juice.
Correct.
If you look on the side of Solo Juice, they tell you it's imported from where? From Egypt.
Morocco, Egypt. I think that one of those places.
It comes from the Sinai. Now, when the guy in the desert is planting tropical fruits and exporting to the guy in the tropics, there's a fundamental flaw in that whole arrangement there. The guy in the desert is exporting tropical fruit to the guy in the tropics.
In the tropics. With no job.
I mean, thank you very much. I mean, just think about it. The guy has now converted the desert. Last time I checked for geography, Sinai is a desert. So he's converted the desert into a tropical paradise using technology and irrigation, and now planting grapefruit, orange, guava, mangoes, and then juicing it and exporting it to the guy who in the tropics has the same. I mean, there's something fundamentally flawed there. So I told him on the air, I said, look, If you were just to estimate that that 1,000, I mean, $1 million worth of solo juice is imported to Liberia, what does that tell you? It tells you that there is a demand for juicing product in Liberia.
Absolutely.
Because
But
if there was not a
small
demand,
population, even with a small
but what I'm
population,
saying,
yeah.
if there was not a demand for the juice from the population, why are they importing it? It's simply because there's no value added. That's exactly right. So,
And the juice is
I mean,
expensive.
so pineapples are there. Yeah, pineapples are there. Pineapples are there. The growers are there. But again, I think this group, this investment equity, whatever way you want to call it, is so important. And that's why we do the show. This platform is all about Liberian business. All about Liberian business, agriculture sector. We were talking about Liberianization sectors. We went over all of that. And I think that's why this program, this project you guys are doing is so important. But we've got to sell the idea, because there are also Liberians who are into the rubber business back home. Even my older brother, Joe Phillips, you can call Joe Ava. He can carry you to a rubber farm. He has hundreds of acres of rubber. Robert Morris, he got 100 acres. I mean, so there are people who have the acreage, but we've got to bring them together and leverage this thing, because those could be the growers locally. They could be the growers locally because they already have workers and stuff like that, you see. And then there are already people who are doing small farms on their side, who are also looking for people to invest with them, and then we can pull them in. So it's not a one size fits all, if I can put it that way. We've got to be able to look at things that are currently moving and see how we can bring it into the fold and use those small things, transform them so that they can become successes to attract other people to become investors in the big thing. You get my point?
You couldn't have said it any better, guys. Thanks for sharing the show. I'm going to say this, though, and this is a guesstimation. If you're in Liberia during the plum season, I think Liberia have sufficient tropical fruit now to ensure we are self-sufficient into the juicing business, if we really want to do that. If we can invest in it, I would say maybe close to 60% of the plums in Liberia go to waste. I don't know, Asa, you ever been in Liberia most recently? I'm not talking about before. Where during the plum season, right? If you went to real life, I would say the plum that you're wasting on the ground, maybe between 40 to 60% of that will go to waste, because we've not formulated. Look, I really believe the failure in Liberia right now, as it stands, is our responsibility as diaspora citizens. We don't do our part. We're not taking our share. And I really believe this. Now, I understand this is where the consolidation comes in, and this thing has to get pushed. Initially, it was just about the money to spend. Now that we pay the money, we're excited about this. But if we funnel the money in a way, you have the likes of my brother Abdullah Katama in the country. You have experts in the country in whatever field you're going to be. These operations can be run to bring in more like-minded people into the country, where we can expand the kind of operation. Because, look, we continue to depend on the government with a $700 million budget, where almost $600 million is used just to run the government. There is no possibility.
No profit, no return on investment, no ROI.
None whatsoever. we in the private sector. Look, Liberian, and I know. Look, if the website goes live, we have no doubt. If this thing go live, and my thing is, I told people every day, I want to quit my job. I really want to quit my job, because this is a legacy move where we can literally transform our entire country in the next 15 years if this thing really take hold. Liberians are willing to commit 500, 1,000. They're not plenty of money. The way we design, the way our design initially, we can be tweaked, would be, my Mary lives in Minnesota. My Mary doing a babysitting job. My Mary, we want you to contribute $1,000, but you ain't got to pay all the money one time. When you get paid every week, they can take off $50 from your paycheck onto your $1,000 company. You will get a certificate from the Liberian Diaspora Corporation. You will get the definition all around your certificate. If that 2%, 3% on your stuff, the first 3 years after the investment, anytime we say juicing Liberia, my Mary get a share in that juice because she's born into this process. We can expand this operation, and we can truly begin to grow our country. But my issue is not just about the growth, it's about control. Because economically, if we can control the country economically, we can control the country politically, we can control the country socially, we can redefine the Liberian family in the proper way. Because, look, the lack of job, I'll say, is killing the society. It's killing the society where the family is not staying together. And if we can reverse that, oh my God, What a glorious thing. I mean, I believe it's doable. The expertise are out there now. It's doable. Yeah. It's true, Rose says, bro. He's right.
I don't like, again, from my sales, marketing, and business development background as an engineer. Look, all you have to do, we said it earlier, clearly define the objective.
Correct.
2, we've got to make a business case to sell this thing.
Yeah.
People only buy what they truly understand. Nobody buys something that they don't understand for the sake. No. You've got to make them part of the transformational process. This is not about making money, but it's also about what? Liberia's transformation. You get my point?
Absolutely.
Number 3, let's identify existing small entities on the ground. Okay. You remember when we were small, there was a company in Liberia by Stephen Thomas. It was called what? The Messerado Group of Companies. That's exactly right. Okay. You remember the USTC. The USTC, United States Trading Corporation, was what? Was an umbrella that pulled in. So when American investors wanted to come to Liberia, they came in under that umbrella. Am I right or wrong? Okay,
you're absolutely right. Yeah.
That's it. So what we do, we take this investment entity and we turn it into an entity that can fund other small Liberian entities, pull them in, and then take the expertise to what? If we fund you, right? If we fund you, then we have ownership of X% ownership of you. And then we bring you in under the umbrella so that your profitability feeds additional businesses. So again, like I said, don't make it a one size fits all. Because if we have multiple small successes, we can then, we can attract more investment because we can say this is our portfolio.
Let me give you a real life scenario. You cannot. A real life scenario. My job right now, this is what I do. For everywhere they build one Amazon warehouse, what I do currently, my primary duty is to award contract to subcontractors for Amazon. So we got 10,000 different subcontractors across the country, even from gardeners, those that cut the grass in the yard, to waste management, to the engineers that repair the systems, the suppliers of the saline wrap, to you name it, these contractors. So for instance, the company that supplies the pallet to the warehouse operation that I run out of Charleston, Massachusetts, what they do is they supply the pallets, the wooden pallets, right? These companies are supplying us 3 trailer load per day for these pallets. That warehouse alone, has almost 200 employees because of Amazon have given them a contract. So what we've done, we set a standard for them. Now that standard forces them to become more professional. It increases the palleting business. It perfects the palleting business. This is how you grow a society. So now we are dictating to them. So listen, we want a pallet setting standard. We want a pallet setting strength.
You set your standard. You set your standard. That's exactly right.
It forces them to increase that standard. This is what we are talking about, the distribution across the country. So you take a city like Buchanan, and Buchanan become a major supplier of the bends that we use to hold the plums or the fruits that we're juicing. Now that operation over there, they got a rubber factory manufacturing over there that factoring all these bends and new designs of bends across the country, even the bottle suppliers of the company. So these little things, it forces small businesses across the country. You have a brother, the Riverset Pro now. Riverset Pro say, I want make bottle cap. You buy a little machine from China, you go, you set away in Riverset. He employed 30 people. They are making bottle cap for the bottle company out of Nima County. That cap and that bottle merge to create a juice. So these are small businesses across the country. That's how we groom Liberian millionaires.
That's how, and like I said, when I will use the word we, I won't say you because I consider myself to be part of it. We've got to create an umbrella group of entities that we pull in. That's the key. That's the key because there was, my wife and I were just driving, I think a month ago, some part of Houston here. And there was a little guy sitting on the side of the road. He had rent. I think he paid the gas station guy, I think $20 or $30 for the day. He bought this little cassava, sugarcane juicing machine.
I've seen it. I've seen it. Yeah,
He bought the thing probably off of Amazon
correct.
or Alibaba.
China somewhere, Alibaba.
Brought the thing in, and the guy had the thing. He made the ball, went to Academy Ball. He laid tent.
10.
Went to Kinko's or wherever Office Depot, made he lay sugarcane, fresh sugarcane juice sign. Set it on the side.
Hey, permit from the city of Houston.
He had his small in the machine. He has an engine. He has a they can see like a little tiger motorbike engine on the side.
Yeah.
And he went to the Chinese Asian market and bought a bunch of sugarcane on the other side of Houston here. And was sitting there. You paying $10 for a cup.
He juices it.
He juices it right there.
Yeah.
And he asked whether you want lime. You squeeze the lime in there. He shakes it for you. Pours it in the car. He gave you $10.
Put a little bit of ice.
So my point is, one of the things that we don't understand as Liberians is that China has done a great service for all of us globally. They now manufacture, they produce, they assemble, they make all of these packaging machines. They make all of them already. That's exactly right. You look at the water business in Liberia. Who's supplying all the machines? These are all bagging, packaging machines out of China. So I think what we need to do more than ever, one of the things I would like the investment group to fund is a small industrial park. A small industrial park, so these industries can be housed in there and funded. So again, like I said, this is what we need to do. Count me in.
We have to
count me in, and we need to sell it.
Peter Corey, welcome to the show, man. My brother, we made some mistakes, Peter. I'm not for one to say that I don't make those mistakes. We expected certain things. We want to stay away from politics on the issue. We expected certain things from the administration, that you would bring around the best people to be able to utilize the expert. Look, take Donald Trump, for example, or take any Western country president. They don't have to be expert in everything. But what they do is, if they want to talk about electrification, they get energy policy experts to come in and advise them. In the U.S. Congress, they have these think tanks on every topic that comes before Congress. That think tank evaluates it, writes an executive summary, and then explain that to the legislature so they can understand what they're doing. This is the mindset we felt they would have operated under. So if you want to make Buchanan a competing city where it has its own major airport, I expect you to bring in urban experts to come in and help the administration. That's what we thought they were going to do, my brother Peter. But sometimes, it gets frustrating, and I understand where you're coming from. And trust me, I get it entirely, but I'm not going to dwell on the mistakes that I've made in terms of political selection. But what I want to dwell on is, how can we move from there and utilize the small resources we have in the diaspora, where we can transition from hand to mouth here to where me and my brother Peter Corey can say, you know what, we Buchanan boys, we're going to team up and create something out there that creates some jobs. This is what, look, we are at the age now where, Mr. Phillips, we are fading away. Yeah. And during our fade, we are not leaving anything to change Liberia.
No.
And this hurts me. So it's an opportunity that we have to see. Hey, Odile, what's going on, my brother? It's an opportunity we have to see in some fashion. Say, listen, we got to force the issue into Liberia because the establishment loves it the way it is, because they are beneficiary of this organization in our society.
Yeah.
I mean, you think about it.
Yeah. So what we'll do now, while I know you were late on, we do this show every Saturday.
Yeah.
Every Saturday. From Rufus Devon Kane is with Love FM in Monrovia. Yep. We've got he's our show host there. He's our pilot. Ava is my co-host, and we talk about, again, business. It's called Business Talk. We relay to a couple of other stations across the country, and we would like to invite you back next Saturday. We can drive this topic for a couple of more Saturdays, because again, it's so vital, it's so critical, it's so important for our country. I mean, the private sector, we've got to grow it. Even this station that we're on broadcasting today is a private entity, and Rufus is passionate about this as well. And thank you, Rufus, for the time that you're giving us today. And Dualu, please feel free next Saturday if you got the time. We would really want you to be back, because you're passionate about this, and I would like, this for you, whenever you come. Let's drive, let's push, let's educate, let's inform, about the diaspora investment fund or whatever
They're
way
going
you
live
guys
soon,
call it.
Wade. Like I said,
Yes, yeah.
the
Let's
lawyers are
talk
going
about it.
live.
Let's get more people aware of it. Okay, so you can do your parting statement now. Go ahead.
Okay, look, to our people, to the audience, we appreciate this. Every Saturday, like you can say, we are here. And the goal here now, we've all made mistakes in terms of how Liberia been formulated. I know it's easier to say, I was not in the country, I've been out of the country, but this is our common heritage. This is where all of our New streams were buried. And if we do not do something, to find a way, look, I get jealous that the Ghanaians are all competing us. I can really get jealous that the Nigerians are all competing. I understand we're a small population. In fact, yesterday, the Sierra Leonean launched Air Sierra Leone. They flew an airplane into the brand new airport. I was in the airport, I believe it was in January. I flew into Freetown and I saw this brand spanking new airport that was built out in Freetown. They just brought in Air Sierra Leone. That means they're going to start taking our launch again when we have not launched our own Air Liberia. The opportunities are out there. Look, any government that comes to power, I wanted to say this. I understand there are people that champion your cause and you have to give them a job. But at the production level, that means director and above. This is not place for partisanship. This is not place for you just put a man there. This is not place for pity. This is a place of production. For the country to turn around, you have to get your brightest minds. Now, I will make the disclaimer. I'm not suggesting that I'm one of the brightest minds, but I'm saying seek out people out there that can guide the process in the country where we can produce for the Liberian people. And that production is not just necessarily in government, but it's most important in the private sector, because if we can expand the private sector, by default, the government is going to grow. And this is what I dream about. This is what I want for our country. And I believe collectively we can do this if we continue to push and organize and generate some funding, some capital, and begin true investment into the country. Once again, to the audience, thank you so much.
Okay, I will close my point here, but thank you again, once again, to all of the listeners, all of those who participated on Facebook. We're on multiple platforms. Rufus Divine Content, thank you so much to Love TV, Love FM for giving us the opportunity once again to broadcast across Liberia, across the multiple county areas, and all of those who made comments, added comments. Again, we're passionate about driving transformation, economic transformation, to transform our politics and to develop this country, move this country forward. As you know, I'm very passionate about energy, because energy must be our foundation to support the private sector, to grow the private sector. And let's come in next Saturday. We'll continue this topic next Saturday, because this is not a one-day topic. So it's a topic we'll continue next Saturday, probably even up to Thanksgiving on the U.S. side and into December. But the private sector, all of us in the diaspora, we must engage with Liberian businesses on the ground. It's a good place to invest your money, do your proper investigation. But I think the diaspora fund that Dwalu and Ava and them are putting together will be the best place. And, for me, I'm counting myself into it. I'm into sales, marketing, and business development as an engineer. I work in the energy sector here. And I think this fund is the most effective transformational instrument that we can all support to bring transformation in Liberia, in the private sector, to create jobs and opportunity. Rufus, it's over to you.
Well, it was wonderful listening to those ideas profiled by you folks, and we hope that our listeners can actually learn from us. As always, tune in, call a friend to tell a friend that indeed a program that gives the opportunity free of charge to learn about business, so that we make our economy better, so that you and I, regardless of our political attachment, regardless of our beliefs, we can make Liberia better. In the absence of politics, we can get involved with business. Like one writer said, in the absence of business, your job cannot sustain you and your family. My name is Rufus Divine Conant. I lead and auto follow, first among equals. Of course, I'm destined for greatness. Do have yourselves a wonderful and God bless day.
Yeah, thank you, man. Thanks for the invite. Thanks for the invite.
Business Talk. Business Talk. In 1 hour, 30 minutes, we provide listeners with up-to-date information and insights into various aspects of business and finance. We engage in insightful